Hi, it's Michael here from the Family Cook, and I have an empty bottle of tomato ketchup. I was thinking the other day, looking at the ingredients, it's pretty straightforward. Tomato puree, sugar, vinegar, some seasoning, onion powder, celery salt. We should be able to make that, don't you think? So, let's make tomato ketchup. So while I'm heating some olive oil in a pan, we're going to chop up the onions, which is going to go in first. I think it's quite nice that we are doing tomato ketchup today. I was reading the other day that it's the 150th birthday of Heinz tomato ketchup. It's amazing, eh? Some people are very rich because so many of us like to put tomato sauce on our chips and our burgers and our sausages. And I never considered making it. And when I looked at the recipes online, there are many variations, but it's not too complicated. Okay, so 4 onions are going in. Making ketchup at home, for me, is about knowing what's in it, especially when you make something for the kids, right? And when you look at ketchup, when you buy it in store, for me the biggest problem is the amount of sugar. When you look at the world's leading brand, it's almost 25% sugar. So almost a quarter of that ketchup is sugar. Now, in our recipe today, we put 200 grams of sugar, which equates to about 6%. But feel free to play with that, to tweak it, put a little bit more in if your kids find it's not sweet enough, or a little bit less if you want to avoid the sugar at all. Anyway, it's time to add our garlic. So let's put that in the pan. And we'll leave that for another 5 minutes or so. Keep stirring so it doesn't burn. Now it's time to add our spices. So we're going to add some allspice and some celery salt and coriander. And a little bit of pepper. As I mentioned, this is also a time, if you want to spice it up, you could add some chili flakes, some smoked paprika, cinnamon is an option, some Tabasco. But we leave these spices to infuse for a minute. Yeah. Oh wow, the smell that's coming up, it's amazing. Now we're adding the rest of the ingredients. So I'm adding some tomato puree. I'm adding the vinegar. A little bit of Worcester sauce. And then a can of tomatoes. And some passata. You could also add just another can of tomatoes if you prefer. So we stir this and then we leave this uncovered on a low heat for about an hour. So we want everything to really thicken and the liquid to reduce by a few inches. Okay, I'll see you in about an hour. Okay, so we're going to use a hand blender just to make it a little bit finer. I mean, the hand blender can only do so much. So if you want the ketchup to be very fine, then you need to put it through a sieve or a mandolin probably. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so there's a little bit left in here, so let me taste that. It doesn't fit in. Let me taste that. Okay. And then this. Feels like this one, the one that we made, has a bit more vinegar in it. It's a little bit less sweet. You know what? I'll add a little bit of corn flour to this and we'll push this through a mandolin just to create a softer and more consistent texture. We'll taste it again. So here we have half a tablespoon of corn flour and some cold water. And I'm just doing this really because although I like the consistency of what we made, I found that all the commercial ketchups have corn flour in them. So to get that nice gloopy texture, I'm just guessing we need to add a bit of this. Okay, so I'm just adding this to the ketchup. Turn the heat on again, just for a couple of minutes. So now that the sauce is cooked for a bit more, it's ready to pass through this food mill. If you don't know this food mill has very fine holes, and you push the sauce through this and it creates a much more softer consistency, much more familiar to ketchup. It won't have any bits in it. In fact, if your kids don't like bits in their food, this is a great tool when you make soup or sauce. Anyway, here we go. Putting the ketchup in. Oh, it's getting a bit full. Oh. Let's pass it through. Here you see, you just turn it and it pushes it through the holes. Okay. Here's our ketchup. And this sauce will thicken as it cools. Now, I think this is pretty close, but next time I make it, I would use a little bit less vinegar. I'm not sure about the sugar. I never... Well, we'll see how it goes down with the kids. So what you do with this, you put this in a jar, a pot, when it's fully cooled, put it in the fridge. You can keep it up to 3 months. Now, if you sterilize the jars, you could keep it for longer, of course. You could also put it in the freezer. So what do you think? It's pretty easy, right? I mean, I filled the old ketchup bottle with our ketchup. I wonder how the kids will react. Listen, don't get me wrong. These recipes are closely guarded secrets and it doesn't taste exactly the same. So it requires a bit of tweaking. But I mean, this is definitely ketchup. So enjoy making it and let me know how you get on. Thanks.